Is that a new intro or am I?
Yeah, it's a new intro.
Oh, it's a new intro. God. I was about to say, nigga, I'm that out of the loop. I'm looking at this shit like, I'm like, I'm looking at one of my shows, and then I said, wait a minute. Yeah, get it.
Definitely a new intro. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Monday, Motivational Monday. For those of y'all who've been chiming in on a weekly basis and know what we're talking about, it's that day, the first day of the week. You know, the one that comes right after Sunday that usually you're kind of trying to get that motor going, trying to get yourself in that space where you need to be so that you can do the things you need to do.
Right.
And this is that show. We're here to kind of get that whole thing work, get that. We add the grease to things. We add the little nuggets, kind of get all of that, put that gumbo together and get everything running and up and running like it's supposed to. This is one of your hosts, King Amir, and that guy on the other side of me, on the other side of me, that's King Talent. And you know that every Monday we come on here and we're looking forward to motivating you guys and getting y'all in the right headspace and getting y'all in the right energy to do the right things. So
that's right, baby. And I got no haircut and no hat on. How about that?
So let's go. Let's get it done.
I'm living risky, nigga. I'm living risky. No haircut, no hat. So what? It's Detox Monday for me. It's ironic that I picked Monday to do a Motivation Monday because, that's the date I detox. So I guess it fits. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be one thing. What if it was like another day? It's just on here drunk. Yeah, man, get your life together. You get your life together.
How was your weekend, King? Mine was good, man. I had a nice weekend. Had a event on Saturday that went really, really well. Business event that I had to go to on Saturday that went really, really well. And then I heard about you and some other compadres being off in other spaces, seeing people that I know and love. So it was a good thing and a great look. So
shout out to our super producer, Prophet Pete. We was just having that conversation off air. And I said, this weekend, bro, was first of all dope as hell. I'm always excited when I get through projects and everything is what it's supposed to be, and everything's successful. So I started my joint on Thursday in the Rock. So I was up in Rochester. We did one show Thursday. Shout out to my man Mike Bonner, funny motherfucker. 2 shows on Friday, right? Then Saturday, I had a show. Where was the show? It's in the Middletown area, a little upstate, but not as far as the Rock, right? So I had to come down 4 hours or whatever, do that. And that was an hour and a half from Albany. So after the show, I don't know, about maybe like close to midnight, Aldo and myself, we shoot up to Albany, which is an hour and a half away, to check into a hotel up there because the event was going to be in that hotel the next day at 1:30, 2 o'clock. So we literally just checked in there. I have no drink, no hanging out, slept, woke up so we could be fresh, hit this day show, and then hit the road. Literally, we had the exact amount of time to leave that show, obviously set up, sell some merch, go all the way out to Long Island to Woodmere and do a show with Ray DeJean, my man Will from New Movement, and my son. My son came out, he was on the show as well. So it was stupendous weekend, 6 shows.
Nice.
6 damn shows, bro. And I believe 3-4 days. You know what I mean? But it was dope. It all panned out and everything was good. I tell you one thing. I'm looking forward to this weekend coming up because with the boy, the God, Lord Finesse. Shout out to Lord Finesse, one of the super producers and hip hop icons of all time. Lord Finesse got a couple of projects. He's going to be DJing a party. He does his brunch thing, and then we got that spring bling thing happening in the same areas for Saturday. So, and then Sunday, back to a brunch. My Jersey brunch is the second one. First one was dope. So we're just looking to be even better. Like the crowd was dope. We did it. We got them out. The weather was awesome. Speaking of awesome weather, we've been doing pretty good right now.
Yes, yes, our weather has been really, really nice. I mean, today is a little tricky, but it feels as though we're starting to really get closer to what we really hope the weather's going to be like on a long-term basis. But I tell you what, when y'all get them days where the weather's acting right, get out
Right.
and enjoy. Don't be sitting home because you don't know. Mother Nature, she playing bingo. 73, 42, 65, 58. Bingo.
Yo, you ain't never alive, man. Happy motivated Monday to everybody. I see people checking in already. Lord Amir, the boy Talent here, super producer Prophet Pete, always in the background holding us down. No guests today. We're just gonna go right at it. First of all, let me shout out today's show is being brought to you by the autism event, the fundraiser this Thursday night in Jersey. Hit my page up if you don't have the information. Tickets are only $80. Dinner's included, comedy show, and everything is fantastic. More importantly, the money goes to a worthy cause, autism awareness in our community, which is at an all-time low compared to other communities. And we're trying to get everybody on board. At the same time, they're doing wonderful things in New Jersey regarding that. Turning into got a building donated by the city of Newark that's being, turned into a center, which we've never had, you know what I mean, for our kids in our community. So shout out to that. Again, that goes down at 6 o'clock this Thursday. For more information, I'll read it off before the show's over, but that's our show's being brought to you by this week. Now, I like to start off. If this ain't a motivating story, bro, let me tell you something. I don't know if you've seen the box seats today.
I didn't have a chance to check it out today, so I missed it. But
Bro,
let's
you
go.
know who motivates me right now? I had a question on box seats, and I was like, "Is America back in love with Mike Tyson?" Now,
Mm,
I'm going to say this. First of all, I think America's back in love with Mike Tyson for the simple fact of what happened. In case you've been living under a rock, Mike had to lay hands on somebody on the plane in first class, and even though I'm not. He was to me. He was in the right because you got to leave people alone, man. But you're just not supposed to put your hands on them people. More importantly, because he did it on the plane, it's a federal offense.
oh wow.
Now, what makes me think that America's in love with him? Nobody's chasing this. Like nobody, for real. Like this thing has been viral. It's been everywhere, and the powers that be are not chasing and pressing this shit. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we're going to charge Mike. So here's the thing. The reason I bring that up, the only way this is relevant to this show today is I find that rather motivating. And not the fact that he beat somebody up, put hands on
No.
I'm not asinine, but what I find motivating about Mike Tyson is he's walking and living proof to you people that there are second and third chances out there.
Yes.
We can fully evolve from what we may have been, what we may have done. I say it all the time. I mean, you know me, I always say it all the time. We're more than one person. We're not one thing. Anybody that's walking around here and think they one thing, you're lost in the sauce and you need a lot of help because you can do other things. You are not one thing. You know what I mean? And perfect example, I find myself mentally like that last night. I'm at the last gig. I'm kind of, tired. I'm exhausted. You could tell, like, when you do a lot of running sometimes, God is crazy how God works. God lets the body have enough energy and fuel to do those things. And then as soon as you're done, collapse, right? And that's amazing to me in itself. So I find myself last night, creeping up on that, like minutes, like literally, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes before I'm about to go on stage. I can feel it, you know what I mean? But I'm going to muster through it or whatever the case may be. But my son's on the show. So I find myself when I'm in his space and when we in each other's space, I find myself mentally be tapping into daddy. I'm not
Mm,
just, we're not just two comics, even though we are. My mind goes into, I'm standing, I'm checking on him, making sure he's good, and always find myself, dropping jewels. If I think, I could tell him something that crosses my mind that I may not have said before that may do him good. The whole thing is passing these things on to the youth, whether they're kids or not is cool, but you pass it on to the youth because you can help them if they listen. You can help them skip some steps. It's like a
Facts.
cheat sheet. If you listen to your, I wish I knew this shit as a kid. The shit I know now, I wish I was this intelligent, like morally intelligent as a kid. Because if you listen to some of this stuff, it's a cheat sheet. You can skip a lot of strenuous steps. You know what I mean? So I find this Mike Tyson situation because I'm like, wait a minute. This was a guy. And when I say we, I don't mean us. We love Mike Tyson. I say the collective, the powers that be, or whatever. There was a time when we was supposed to crucify him.
Yeah.
Supposed to. And think about this, Amir. When this was happening with Mike Tyson back in the day, this was before cancel culture. They were trying to cancel
Yes. Yes.
before it was
True story.
fashionable. We used to call it, and part of my French, or you church people, we used to call it a nigga check. Matter of fact, I wrote a documentary. I have yet to film it, but I wrote a book and a documentary called The Nigga Check. And
Mm.
and the reason it took so long is because every time I got ready to do it, another big black icon got another nigga check, right? So I was like, T, you need to sit on it for a while because it just keeps happening. It's good for the book. It's good for the project. I mean, not to wish no demise on anybody, but it kept happening and it's information for that. So we called it that. Before the cancel culture, if you was black and niggas did shit like this, it was your nigga check. You got too big for your britches, and Uncle Sam or the powers that be said, let's smack him down. So Mike is the epitome of this shit, correct?
Yes.
And
Facts.
now when I look at this, like I said, this guy, I hate to say it, had it coming. And now, of course, when they pull for the first time, this is the first time I've seen when you have black and white, right? You always see 9 times out of 10 when an incident happens, black and white, they pull the black guy's rap
Information.
sheet.
Yep.
They pull his rap sheet and information and put it blast. Look at this guy. He's been arrested for stealing potato chips and Pepsis and now laters, and he went to jail for this, and he had domestic. And they blast that shit like look at him. He's a menace to society. They always do that shit. This is the first time that I've seen a black and white situation where they throw dude shit up. Hey, look at dude. Motherfucker's a career criminal. I said, oh,
Uh-oh.
are we back in love with Mike Tyson? People, take this story, apply it to your journey, and even something you may have not just done bad or wrong, something you think you failed at. You're not done. That's a chapter. That's a quarter. That's an inning of your life. However you want to look at it, you can put it in any analogy you want to do it. I know a lot of people that look at life like baseball innings. Some people break it down into quarters like NFL or NBA. Some people break it down into thirds or whatever your stratosphere is or how you do that. You know what I mean? Look at Mike.
Yeah.
You
You know,
bounce back. Cartoons, movies, endorsements, weed company now. Come on.
you know what? You're absolutely right. The fun thing about the whole Mike Tyson thing is, like you said, a couple of things. First off, not only do I think the world is in love with him again, if you're not checking out, his podcast, because he does have a podcast, and there's a lot of times, even on his podcast, where now this format of Mike is giving, really positive and wonderful information to whomever he has on his podcast. So when you get a chance, check that out. But
Okay.
to your point, it lends credence to the fact that Mike has found a way to reinvent himself. And I think for so many of us, we find it hard to change the ideology that we think most people have of us. So we keep doing some of the same things. And every now and again, you got to do some things just slightly different so that people pay attention, they focus again. After a while, people become, things become ho hum to folks. So they just, oh, it's routine. It's routine. So they don't tune in anymore because in their mind, it's a routine versus I never know what's going to happen. This could be exciting, today or tomorrow or whatever the case may be. So I just, implore everybody to, like you said, take a look at this situation with Mike Tyson and truly know and understand that this is how great this, gets an opportunity to continue to be great. That's one. The second thing is, to your point, everything is a chapter or a moment or something like that. You guys have heard me say that. A lot of times people walk into your life and they feel however they feel about whatever's going on in your life at that moment. They just walked in on that chapter. As I tell you all the time, be motivated. You're the director. You're the writer of your story. So the book could have as many chapters as you like or as little chapters as you like. That's first off. And then secondly, when you're directing that movie, make sure that you are doing it in a way that always guides you as the hero. Why not? It's your movie. Why
Right.
you why you tearing yourself down in your own movie? It's your movie. You're supposed to always look to yourself to be the superhero. And I don't care what format that looks like to you. But as long as you do those kinds of things and as long as you put yourself in that space, you'll always come out on the winning side. And then the second thing that I'll say, which you touched upon, is what you said about knowing things now that you wish you had known earlier, or listening to advice. Look, everybody, you got friends and people around you of all walks of life who constantly are trying to bring new light into your life. They're trying to bring new information into your life. They're trying to give you other ways to look at things that you may already be looking at, but a different version of it or through different eyes. Take the time sometimes to absorb that stuff. Listen to the information. I know for so many of us, we kind of get caught up in well, I've always lived my life this way, and this is the way I've always seen and done things. And all that's great until you start to realize you're also in the same space and the same energy that you've always been in. Give yourself the opportunity to grow beyond that. There's a whole world and universe out here beyond the little or limited space that you've given yourself. Now, that doesn't mean that what you've done to this point is limited, or I'm telling you that are not good and this and the third. What I'm saying to you is take the fact that you've come such a far way and start to understand that the universe, God, whatever your higher being, higher power, is starting to introduce things to help you go even further. But you got to listen. You got to take in that information. That's powerful, and it's most needed in this, and especially right now with all that's going on in the world. So just take
Right.
those things with you and continue to move forward.
And count your blessings, people. Count your blessings. Because I know that you heard for the past going on the second week of the young man that died being run over by the car crossing the
Yes,
NFL
yes, yes.
quarterback Haskins being hit by a truck crossing 10-lane highway to get gas or something like that. He's no longer with us. So your thing can always be worse, your situation. Perfect example is my man Jared Padalecki. In case you don't know, is an actor. One of my shows, Supernatural. There's a show
Okay.
Supernatural. I used to like to watch Supernatural. So the one who plays Sam, uh, the taller brother, he had a car accident.
Oh
He
wow.
wasn't driving; he was on the passenger side, but he almost died. And he's recovering. It's happened a week or two ago, or whatever. And he's, thank praise God. And the co-star, my man Jensen, who plays the other brother in Supernatural, he he did an interview. Nobody knew. Like, this was under the radar, and only people knew because he said in the interview, I don't know if they'll know what's going on. My boy, my co-star, he was in a car accident. He's recovering now, so a lot of people don't know. Whatever. He's just asked for prayers and stuff like that. And he's like, it blows my mind that he's even home recovering because he said, I seen the car.
Wow.
Um, and it's crazy. So count your blessings. That's somebody else's thing that's not going well. I know it's funny because I came on, right? So I'm on here
Mhm.
about 6, 7 minutes early. And I'm complaining about, tired, blah, 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 blah. And I go to Pete, Prophet Pete. I go, hey, how was your weekend? And Pete said I forgot what he said, but it was some real deep shit. And I said, damn. I said, I apologize. I'm over here complaining about bullshit. You got real problems. He was like, man, I'm sorry. Like, that's my whole point.
Yeah.
It's like, it could always be worse, people. So take these things, these jewels we drop. Uh, that's why I like to familiarize myself with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
People think that when I tell people, like, because I got people that I don't see, but we chat, right? And some of us just chat for, like, even my coworkers at the radio station in the Rock, we just chat and pick each other brain. Like, what are you watching right now? It's like, what's good? What's on? And I will say this: I have this vast array of different stuff and types and styles of stuff that I watch. Now, I'll give you one thing, and then I'll give you another thing. You're like, That's weird. You like that, but you like that. Like, because I like to spread my thought provoking, if that makes any sense to me. I like to challenge myself, if you will, thinking wise, and just take my brain on trips. And also with these weird programming shows, I hate to call them weird because it sounds bad, but lack of a better word, like these weird little science, sci-fi things and all these what ifs. I watch it because it's education in there, believe it or not. You know what I mean? It's education in there, believe it or not. You have to watch Sixth Street on
AMC.
okay,
Okay.
Sixth Street.
I
I'm
have
gonna
to
check
check
that
that
out. You know, Prophet Peace at Sixth Street on AMC. You know what's crazy is a new joint just We Own This City came out
out.
yesterday
Okay.
on
Okay.
HBO. And
Uh-huh.
it's the guys, it's in Baltimore. It's The Wire all over again.
Oh, okay.
We Own
Wow.
This City on HBO. Uh, Somebody just hit me to it this morning, so I'm gonna check that out as soon as I get a minute and get off of here. Yeah. So just take these things. It could be worse. It could be. You could be like, who's more delusional, Trump or Ti? You could be one of these guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Life could be. It could be a little fucked up. Like what I don't want to do is ever be that delusion person. Like that delusional person. I'm gonna tell you right now. That stagnates you to the fullest, to the 100th power. When you are delusional, you are stuck in a place and refuse to understand something to get to the next place because you're delusional. Like Trump could have did so much with his power, following, and time, even out of office. But he's so hell bent on being in office and doing crazy shit, right? Ti, he wants to dabble in stand up comedy. It's not for the faint at heart. And
Yeah.
more importantly, it will teach you lessons along the way that you must listen to be better, to get good at it. You have to listen to the lessons along the way. Every single show that I do, and I do a lot, you would think, let's just round it off and say in 30 years, I did 50,000 shows. Let's just round it off, right? There's not a show that I can't take something from or learn something from. I have never done a show that I can't take something informative and worthy of taking from it to learn from. And if you go do shows like him, to go back to, a couple of sets that were whatever, I listened to the interviews of this man after the fact, and he just refuses to get what the universe or the stage or the audience, for that matter, is trying to tell you. So these two guys, I put them under my little delusional bubble, right? And it's almost right there with that woman in that relationship that's bad and toxic for her, or physically abusive, but she won't leave because she's in a delusional state of all of that what we're labeling toxic, and the wounds and the bumps and bruises and the verbal abuse and the tearing down physically, spiritually, emotionally, means he loves me. Really? So if all those things means he loves you, I I hate to see what he's doing.
Facts.
If
Facts.
I beat the shit out of you on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, whatever it is, timing don't matter. Beat the shit out of you. If I beat the shit out of you, because I love you though, I would hate to see what the fuck I do if I don't like
And that is that part. But to your point, even about being delusional. Look, Ti and 45 happen to be extreme circumstances. We're talking to you beautiful people here. And I say this all the time. Look, please don't be delusional about the things going on in your world. Y'all know my favorite saying is, it's okay to lie to me. It's okay to lie to Talent and various other people who are on this live, even to your friends and family. But I always tell y'all, there's that person that stares back at you from the mirror. That person, they hang out with you all the time. They in your thoughts. They are in and around you all the time, no matter where you go, no matter what you do. And once you start lying to that person, to Talent's, point, not only are you delusional, but you've actually lost the game big time. because there's no coming back from lying to yourself.
No.
Like I said, lying to other people, you might get away with that for a while because, they say whatever's done in the dark comes to light and all these other, the various wonderful sayings or horrible sayings, depending on how you look at them. But the fact that you lie to yourself, you can't, that's a delusion that doesn't do anything but further push you away from where you want to be and where you need to be. So I always encourage everybody to please do what you can. And this is why I also encourage y'all to listen. When people are saying things, sometimes it depends on who's the messenger. It'll resonate with you. Other times it won't, because sometimes, your significant other, your friends, your family, your kids, they say things to you. Oh, I don't know why this kid's talking to me, or so forth and so on. But the reality of it all is maybe something touched their spirit that told them they need to share with you. And that's why I said we have to do a better job of starting to comprehend and or listen to the things going on around us, because those things then some way, shape, or form seep into your soul, seep into your spirit, seep into your energy. And if it's something positive, and please make sure that you're on that side of it. If it's something positive, you can grow from it, you can get stronger from it, you can do wonderful things because of it. But if it's not feeding you, if it's not making you better, if it's not something that's pushing you forward, do yourself a favor, shut it down. I
Mm.
don't care. I don't care who or what it is. Shut it down. If you get a phone call and somebody wants to, talk negatively about somebody else, hey, 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 you know what? I got something else that I need to take care of. Let me get back to you. For what? What do we? Why would we pour negativity into any situation, whether it's yourself, whether it's friends and family? And I know some of y'all are gonna be on here like, you know what? But I can't stand this, and my mother's been negative, and my father was never this, and
Right.
all that's probably true. But what? Look, their shortcomings or whatever they've been through or whatever they are trying to work through, that wasn't your fault. So you can't be upset with them. They're doing the best that they can. But it doesn't make sense for you to try to continue to drag them down when you can see they're already struggling. Your job is to be that light for not only you, but for hopefully the people and the things around you. Because if and when you're that light, trust me, it helps other people turn on their light. And the thing about everybody turning on their light, it comes on a little bit brighter, a little bit dimmer, but the light is on. So when that path is lit, everybody can walk. Not, I'm trying to figure stuff out and duck around corners because this over here is dark. Let's
Yep.
get better at turning on those lights in one another, because that light is incredible. And when it's shining, there ain't nothing in the world that's better than that. So I just encourage us to, on this Motivational Monday, as we do every Monday, start turning that light on. Believe in yourself first. And here's,
Yeah.
just another tidbit.
You took
Stop.
the words right out of my next sentence. Was like, I really specifically this week want to motivate people to start pouring love into oneself.
Yeah.
Um, and what sprung this thought and idea to like push this thing today is I've been seeing a lot of I mean, it's been there, but for some reason with these algorithms and shit, certain shit will flood your thing consecutive, like different types of stuff. So sometimes it's pets and animals, because I love animals. Sometimes it's a lot of sports. Sometimes it's a lot of local news. But for whatever reason, the past couple of weeks, there was a lot of self-mutilating.
Mm,
I'm seeing, and when I say that, I mean voluntarily. I mean not somebody accidentally cut their, but no, they're going in to go under the knife. Now we all know the BBLs and the Brazilian butt lifts and flying to Dr. Miami or to the DR and blah blah blah. I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna get my titties. I'm gonna get my ass. I'm gonna tuck my tummy. And but they're going further than that, bro. I mean, we've all done heard the whispers and the taunts and the shaming of the little Kims and is the Venus Williams, not Venus, is Serena bleaching, Sammy Sosa bleaching, but all this self like mutilating and changing thing. And there's only one reason that people do these type of things. You know what I mean? I get it. Uh, a young lady wants to get rid of a little tummy fat or stuff like that. I get that. But when you start cutting your whole face up, and you start going that far with things. I think the bigger thing we can talk about to our sisters and our queens out there is, why do you feel that way about yourself? What about you and what happened probably, or what was said that got you to that point um, of reverse self-esteem, if you will, like low self-esteem where you don't like you? Let me tell you something. I didn't like a lot of things about myself growing up. Um, but I've learned over the years that was me. That wasn't nobody else. It wasn't nobody running by saying something to me that got to me. I didn't have a certain type of upbringing that made me feel a certain way. It was me battling me. But even in that battle, I triumphed and came out on top because it was never that serious. It was like a whispery conversation with myself, if you will. You know, the perfect example is like, you know, I laugh all the time, right? Because but people are like, oh my God, look, I got an old picture of you from '93. Look how skinny you was. Oh my God, you put weight on. You fucking right up put weight on. That was one of my idiosyncrasies. That was one of my own little personal battles of, and it's funny because I'm going through this in my head, right? I was this bony ass kid for as long as I can remember. And I hated it, Amir. I hated it. You know, people don't know that, but I know that shit, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I fucking hate being the tall, skinny guy. You know what I mean? And I'm looking at other tall dudes and they filled out and they look like men. You know, I want to get in that conversation, but I'm scared to go over there. I'm skinny. You know? So I stay with the little skinny crew. You know, I want to have that conversation. My intellect is that. I'm on that level, but I don't fit in. I can't go there. Be like Sesame Street. One of these things is doesn't belong. That type of shit. So the funniest thing in the world, I remember I first started to finally put some meat on the bones. And one of my things was my mom's had a bar. So my thing a lot of the time when I was going to go to a show or something was always stop by to get, you know, leave the house about an hour early. Just stop by my mom's, get a beer at her bar, just really just sitting there to kick it with her, you know, spend time with her. And I never forget, I come in and I got on like a short sleeve shirt like this. And I sit at the bar, you know, your arms on the bar. And my mom could put the beer down. And with her hand, she grabs right here. She goes, oh, I'm so glad you starting to put a little weight on. Now, I know I felt like that, right? But I had no idea this bitch. So I was like, you know, I couldn't say it. You know, I can't talk about it. I could never curse around my mom, right? But that's how I'm feeling in my brain, like, bitch, right? I said, this bitch been holding this shit in all this time. Like, I said, yo, moms are you some slick, dope motherfuckers because had she ever uttered that shit one time, had she ever like said it out her mouth, like to me, I don't know what the fuck that would have did to me. Like for real, for real. I think about it all the time. Like I laugh all the time about it because my mom's got, you know, these big pictures in the living room of her that I'm constantly always looking at her, right? And I talk to them shit sometimes. So, you know, we talk about that shit, you know, because I was like, yo, remember that time? Like here I am going through my own little personal mental struggle and whispers and conversations. And like, I'm trying everything. You know, when you're young, you can't put the weight on like you can when you get older because your metabolism's crazy.
Yes.
So as much as I'm trying to, nothing happening for years. So finally, and it started picking up a little bit. So now I'm $1.75, $1.80, whatever. I hit about $1.90. I go there, put my arms up on the shit. I never forget this shit. And she went, oh, I'm so glad you stopped. And I just looked at her like, bitch, you always thought this shit about, you know. But my point is, it never is that deep where I was going to research and look up an operation where I could
Get big.
get some supplements or some injections and get, because it's not that deep. It's a little stupid thing that I'm noticing, you know, but did it change me? Was I any less smart? No. You know what I mean? What did it have to do with real life? Nothing. But
Yeah.
that's what we do. Sometimes, you know, what they say, idle time is the devil's playground or some shit like
Yeah.
that. Because if you got time to think about it, you think, you do detrimental shit to yourself because of
Facts.
the thought process. And I think that, not think that, I mean, you look around, you really, really can see and tell that in our females part of the community, it's running rapid right now. It's rampant as hell right
I agree. So it's funny that you brought to light what you said because I had something similar when I was young. I remember two things. First of all, my name. Uh, when I was younger, I was not as proud of my name as I could have and should have been because coming up in that era, there were no other men or boys that I knew in my neighborhood that had a name like mine, like not even remotely close. Everybody had normal names, Mike, John, uh, you know, Billy, things like that. And I remember being a kid, and I used to be like, "Dang, Ma, why couldn't you name me like one of them regular names, like Reggie
now.
or something like that?" And this is a true story. I used to have these. My mother was like, "You don't understand. Your name is special, and one day you're really gonna understand, how special your name is, and all these things." And you add to that the black thing. Like, coming up, I was, I'm dark skinned. So I remember that was the, major thing. When anybody wanted to seemingly say something that, could or would hurt me, it was, Black Amir. And again, remember, like I said, people didn't enunciate my name or pronounce my name. So it'd be Black Oatmeal or, all kind of weird stuff that, kids do to each other. And I remember that was also, a trigger for me for a very long time. I was like, oh man, why couldn't I have been, a different complexion or shade and all that stuff? And then, true to form, Bobby Brown, what's the brother from Guy, Aaron Hall,
Uh-huh.
Michael Jordan, and all of them, ushered in a whole different energy in terms of how people look. Because in junior high school, I could say this with all conviction, DeBarge, Christopher Williams, and all that was the look. If you didn't fall into that complexion in that category, you was not getting a lot of burn. But I
Well,
say that to say this, to your point, you have to at some point take stock of self and
yes.
then understand that there is something special about you, regardless to what other people might think and or feel. And if you're smart enough, you find yourself in a position where you then, utilize the fact that now you have a better understanding of self, you truly admire yourself, and you work from that energy and from that space, and it makes you that much better. I saw in the comments, Bernadette had put up, it's a societal thing sometimes when it comes to women and supposedly what they are up against in terms of beauty because of societal standards. And I get that, being have some validity there. But here's the thing: society, as we can see, can be wrong because in the course of our lifetime, and especially when we were younger, and B, you notice because you fall into that category, Van Gloria Vanderbilt jeans and Sassoon and all that was the gene. But
Yeah.
back then, women, even women of color, were shaped that way. Then we got to a point where we weren't shaped that way anymore, and they had to redefine what their standard of beauty was because they started realizing that there are women who would have curves. Not that they weren't before, they just weren't acknowledging it. But once they started to acknowledge it, they had to change and throw that whole playbook out. And this is why I, so encouraged to, another point that Talon made about pouring into each other and loving on each other. We got to get back to that. I get it. It would be great if you could stay as a two or a five or whatever you are in the early stages of your life. But the fact is, life happens. Sometimes you have children. Sometimes you get into a state of depression or whatever the case may be. And in going through those things, your body changes, your energy changes, and all those things, which factor into you moving into the new space that you're in. But
Right.
I always encourage everybody, be encouraging and be what you call it to yourself, because yes, it's great when other people can pour into you, for instance, friends, family, and so forth and so on. But the other part of that is you pouring into yourself and being present in your new current situation. It doesn't mean you got to stay there, because obviously we all know that if you apply yourself and you figure out a program or something that works for you, you can drop the weight or put yourself into a space and place where you need to be. But the point is, you can't. So talk negative about yourself or talk negative about the situation and expect positive results, because that's not how that works. And I
Right.
always tell people this, and I give y'all this example because I fell into this category myself. I remember, again, being a young dude, and I was like, yo, I don't want to be one of these dudes with several baby mothers and things like that, because in your mind it sounds positive when you say it, and or you think you're saying something positive. The universe heard baby mothers. It didn't hear you don't want to be this, that, the third. The universe heard baby mothers. So the universe provides what you say. So this is why self-talk, this is why the things that we say and think of ourselves are so important, because that's what the universe is locking into. That's what that energy is going into the universe or going to God or whatever your, like I said, higher power being, and then it's being returned to you. I say this all the time to people. When you really start to understand how powerful your mind is and your mouth, because those are two things that literally create your reality. I know y'all don't think or believe that. You're like, and it does require some work as well. But what happens is the work comes because now that you put that energy into the universe starts sending things to you that will hopefully help you reach the goals that you're trying to reach. So it really does behoove each and every one of us, be very careful about the things that you say to yourself, and be very
Right.
careful about the things you think about yourself. And do your best to always speak positivity into every and all situations that you find yourself in. I don't care how crazy it is, because
Well, I mean, like,
trust and
and the
believe.
funny thing is, some of our people on here, shout out to Bernadette and Miss Pink, Trina, both said something to the fact of those insecurities that we all have them as youth.
Mhm.
But if we don't talk to ourselves and manage them, they will fester. They fester, and uh, everybody's built different. So for some people, that's all it'll be. You'll grow out of it. But then for some people, it will be that driving force, that nagging over the years to make you do something drastic to yourself because you want change. You brought up one of the biggest ones in our community. First of all, before I go to that, like for example, when I say messing yourself up, when I look at, like, right now, the latest one is Sharon Osbourne. You know, she's in the news complaining about she had a facelift done and they made her look like Cyclops or whatever the case may be. You know, good for you. Good, good for you. You did some foul shit before, and some racist shit, and then here's the thing: don't do nothing bad, then go under the knife, because the laws of the universe and karma. Hey, who you think holding the scalpel? Karma.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's bad timing to me. So I mean, I hope she fixes it, rectify it. But you brought up one of the biggest hurdles for our people in our community. The most relatable thing is the dark versus light skin thing. Um, and that seed was planted a long time ago. That seed goes back to the field nigga, house nigga.
Yes.
And it divided us back then. And then once we started to come up and be around each other in the communities, and the programming that we watched, and like you said, the music, artists, and blah blah blah, and it did seem like for a long time that it was ushered in with our lighter skinned brothers and sisters, and we know why, because that's closer to passing, and they're no different than my Hispanic brothers and sisters. Some of them, and unless you read the last name or hear an accent or sometimes they definitely can pass. You just don't know. But that was a big battle in our community, light skin versus dark skin. Now, some of us was able to keep it at jokes level. Like, I'm glad now it's basically turned into just a big ass joke. Some of us back then kept it at that level, and then some of us didn't. That's unfortunately, people are different. So you're gonna get. I know how to do light skin and dark skin, play with it as a joke. I'm never gonna fucking seriously come at somebody about their complexion. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's stupid. Like, it means, again, it's one of those things as a youth you think means something that doesn't mean anything. When you see me roll, if I grab 25 of my closest friends and family and just be in one spot, nigga, 50 shades of gray in that motherfucker.
Okay.
So it's like, you know what I mean? And none of us moved up. And it's funny because, like, take my immediate family, right? My siblings. We got it all. I'm in the middle. I got a sister darker than me. I think two. My brothers, we kind of the same. I got three sisters lighter than me.
Mm.
So, you know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
we're just different shades. And if we look at each other like that, like brothers and sisters, because we never really played those games. Like, even though it's a game, like I said, I can make fun of light skin, dark skin. We never, inside our inner sibling circle,
Circle.
I can't really
Don't
remember
think
us
about that.
doing that.
Nobody
I can't
says that
remember.
to each
Yeah,
other.
I don't remember us doing that. Now outside, like my friends in the projects and out in the playground on the bleachers and playing ball. Oh, all day we snapping at each other.
Everybody snapping. Yeah. I agree
Because
with
you
you.
light skin, because you light skin. That's why, oh, look at this black nigga. Woo, this nigga straight. This nigga live by the sun. Dumb shit. Like you say, all type of dumb shit. But inside the immediate circle, and I guess that's the difference in knowing that that's not something to play with. I guess
Yes.
it's like some things it's unwritten, you know what I mean? And you just know it. But you're right. That was a huge thing for us in our community. And still is.
It still is. Yeah.
Depending on who you're around, still is, because I think that here's the thing people to pay attention to. The people who play these games to you, that say negative things to you and about you, for the most part, they feel some sort of way that they need leverage on you. Sharon and I talk about this shit all the time in the comedy business and promotion business and stuff like that. Like, they feel they need leverage on you. And here's the thing: if you're watching somebody, and I've seen this shit happen in front of my eyes more times than I like to remember, but people who feel intimidated by you or inferior or just envious of you, they need an area to tap into to give them strength over you. Now listen to what I'm saying. They need an area to tap into to give them strength over you. So, for example, and I hate to admit to it, but I've seen a lot of our black men do it to women. The woman may have a better house than them, a better job, more money, better car, whatever. And this guy feels a little inferior because he don't have these things, and he feels he has the man syndrome. The man syndrome is, I'm supposed to provide, and I'm supposed to have everything she got and take care of her, but I don't. She got it, right? So the man syndrome with a lot of these guys, to go back to we was talking about verbal abuse and physical abuse, a lot of times if he's not a certain brute force over you to hold you that way, then he's playing mind games and emotional games. Like, he may tell you something's wrong with you. And if he says it enough and you are not as stable or strong enough up here, you start to begin to believe it. He starts to tear down that strong wall, right? And he gets it right where he wants it, where he's now in control. Yeah, you got more money than him, don't matter. Yeah, you got a better car than him, don't matter. Yeah, your house better than him. All those things now don't matter because we know that mind is over matter. So the people, and I'm just giving one instance of a male-female relationship, but it come in different forms. Some of us have friends that do that. Some of us have friends that are in our circle that any chance they get, they do that. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen it coming around corners all the time, right? In regular conversations, stuff like that. And the way I always combat it is that I really 9 times out of 10 I don't give a fuck. So you know what I'm saying? It's like Superman. You shoot a gun at Superman to no avail because he's fucking Superman. Like, the bullet bounce off on blah blah blah, right? So if you don't give a fuck about these derogatory approaches, I mean, really don't give a fuck. They're like that bullet that hits Superman. They can't pierce the armor, can't pierce the skin because you literally don't give a fuck. It's when you give a fuck, you actually give a fuck about whatever this bullshit is the person says. Yo, you know what? You two are this. you need to calm down because boom, boom. You know, and you like, where you think so? Yeah, I'm telling you, because blah, blah, blah. And you start to believe that shit. And he's tearing the wall down, or she's tearing the wall down, piece by piece, brick by brick, layer by layer, until they can get in. And when they're in, negative motherfuckers like to fucking camp out. One thing about, you ever notice, why is that? Why does all the positive people be going so fast? But the negative nigga, that nigga got his socks off.
I tell you
He
why.
said, "Can you make a plate?"
I tell you why, T, and it's funny that you put it in that regard. I tell people this all the time because, fortunately, unfortunately, most of us are trauma induced people, and a lot of us are not healing properly. I'm not
Right,
saying not healing at all, but we're not healing properly, and by that I simply mean from all of your triggers. You might heal from the bad girlfriend syndrome if you're a guy, but you still got childhood issues from, like you said, you was the fat kid on the block. Maybe you got yourself together and your weight is okay now. So then, sometimes you in and around people and somebody bring up a fat joke. Now all of a sudden you flying off the hand, yo, fat jokes, whatever, whatever. But because we're so traumatized and we're used to trauma, unlike other groups, we would much rather attach ourselves to our traumas and attach ourselves to trauma like things in some cases than things that are positive. The fun thing to exactly what you just said, though, is when you're healed, the trauma stuff doesn't even resonate with you at all. Like you don't hear it, you don't think about it, it doesn't even come into into your space
right.
because you've now healed from all of those things. And this is why, again, I say it's so important to do a list if you need to of the things that trigger you and work diligently on figuring out ways to go, I'm gonna stop letting that bother me. I always look at it like this.
I
When I
like that.
see patterns, and I tell people that's what I look at. I look at patterns. Yes, words are wonderful and people, tell you beautiful things all the time. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna act in this way, I'm gonna move this way. But I then look at your pattern. And once I see that you have a pattern of doing something a specific way, I'm no longer triggered by it because that means that's who you are, which is fine. I just know that I need to limit maybe my time and energy in and around it because I value my time and energy. And I don't want to spend time and energy thinking to myself, every time I'm around this person, I have to protect myself.
Mm,
Life is short in a lot of ways and it's beautiful in a lot of ways, but it all is contingent on what game plan you put forward going into your day every day to get the results that you're looking for. That's the most important thing. It's not about your crazy kids, it's not about your bosses, it's not about the job, it's not about, all it. It's about you putting together the best game plan to yield the results that are going to get you through your day, one in the best way possible, and two, yielding the results that you want to yield. That's the only game plan there is to any of this. And that's why it's so important that, or we love coming on here because I'm hoping that the words that we're saying, some of the examples that we're giving are giving you guys the opportunity to, like I said, insert your life. If you've
right.
been through certain traumatic situations, insert yourself in the same, stories that we're telling, and then start thinking to yourself, I gotta stop allowing that to bother me. I can't allow that to be what triggers me. I can't allow that to be what holds me back. Because, the talent's point, and this is a man who gets to travel around the country. So y'all gotta think about this. He gets to see all kind of amazing things and a lot of nonsense, I'm sure, sometimes, but the
Yeah,
beauty of it is he's out here getting to see this. Some of y'all won't leave your block, some of y'all won't leave your couch, some of you won't leave your homes. There's a whole beautiful world out here, but you so stuck in trying to manage this whatever. Get away from that. Get to bigger and better places. Get out here and see things, because once you start to really experience this world, you'll never go back to just believing that your neighborhood, where you grew up, how you grew up is the end all, the be all. You'll be so amazed that there are so many other amazing ways and trains of thought out there for you to be able to feed off of and build on. It'll blow your mind.
and
It'll
you know what's
absolutely blow
crazy? I like the list part. Sorry to cut you off. I
your
like
mind.
that you said that's a great thing, right? That's a great thing. Make a list of your trigger points. Now, I'm gonna go a step further. And yes, I agree. Make a list of your trigger points. But while you're looking at that list, another thing you need to do, I think, ask yourself, why does that trigger you? Why do I get upset when somebody says I'm fat, but I like cheeseburgers? We all went to the same school. We know a bunch of cheeseburgers will make you fat, whatever, to each his own, what you eat, you are what you eat, blah, blah, blah. But I like that. You make the list so that, yes, you're right, for awareness sake, for one, but then go a little deeper and ask yourself, why does this thing trigger me? This is what I mean by when I was saying earlier about I don't be giving a fuck. Because motherfuckers will say things, and I can tell when somebody says something, they're trying to get a response or trying to trigger a whole nother conversation or evoke an emotion from me or whatever. But because I'm in control, I'm driving this motherfucking bus. And because I'm driving this fucking bus, nigga, sit back, buckle up. Now you ain't gotta get on my bus. You can take it's another bus behind me. But I'm driving this motherfucking bus. So you're not gonna come in and hey man, you need to you ain't got no power steering, you ain't got the cloth seats, you ain't got does the air conditioning work? Sit the fuck down or get off my bus. Now, again, don't come on my fucking bus complaining. Again, my thing is this of me. I find it ironic. And somebody once said something, and I heard it one time, and then I heard it 100 times after. I'd never heard it that one time, and then after I heard that one time, I hear it ringing in my head more. The harder thing to do is usually the right thing to do. Listen to what I'm saying. The harder thing to do is usually the right thing to do. The easy thing to do is the wrong thing. That's why it's so easy. They want you to do, come on, do this. Because the easy thing to do is usually 9 times out of 10 not the right thing to do. The right thing, it's harder. It's supposed to be because it's the right thing. You understand what I'm saying? So I say, like, I find it abundantly fucking hilarious and funny that let's put that in good and bad people. Let's put it in people mode, right? And I just said this, I was joking, but I'm dead serious. The good motherfuckers that come around, they be in and out real fast. The bad motherfuckers, the negative. For some reason, these niggas, they sign a lease. They sign
They
a
do.
lease. You got
They
a
do.
5-year lease. They're gonna be there for 5 years.
They,
And
they, they do.
their job is to press those buttons and fuck with you. And here's the thing: you ever see that motherfucker like you? Sometimes I know a couple people in my life that when I do see them, on some random shit, what you doing right there? That's what I do. They'll say some shit or do some shit, and I'll just be like, and I can say something, but I know if I say something, that's what
It's
they
go-
want. They want this long interaction, and I'm not. In my brain, I'm just like, does this motherfucker ever not be negative?
oh, thank you, T. And you know what's so crazy is you summed it up perfectly. That's the whole key, guys. This is why emotional intelligence, and it's so funny. I forget what I was watching recently. Saw something, somebody was talking about that. Matter of fact, it was something that I was at, and they were saying emotional intelligence is such a powerful part of our lives. When you have the ability to not allow circumstances and or people to control you under any given situation, your emotional intelligence is at such a level that you win. I'm going to say that again. Emotional intelligence is when you do not allow people and or circumstances to control you, you win. It's so imperative that so many of us learn how to get to a point where our emotional intelligence is so beyond reproach that it's scary. There are there are people now who truly don't understand the power in being calm and under and having the ability to think clearly in
Right.
any given situation. Like there is a power in that. I know some of us, based off of our childhood, based off of even our adulthood, he or she is soft. because they didn't respond. They didn't go in. As I told y'all before, sometimes those people who you think are soft and who you think are so docile, they're protecting you. They've seen their fiery side. They know what that looks like when they go from 0 to 1 million, because they don't go from 0 to 1,000. They go from 0 to 1 million.
Yep.
And when they get there, there is no calming them down. There is a whole bunch of people trying to get in between. And, hey, yo, Amir, talent, calm. No, no, no. You took it there. You wanted to see that side of me. So let me show you what that side of me looks like and why it's probably not a good idea that you bring that side out. But I share that and I close, this particular motivational Monday with that because, as I said, and as Talent opened the show up with, in the last couple of weeks or in the last month or so, guys, we've seen what happens when you poke and or prod people who are trying to do their best to not be the person that you really want them to be. It started with Will Smith. Y'all could feel any kind of way you want about it. And now it's moved on to Mike Tyson. I keep trying to tell people, y'all are getting examples of what happens when you poke people and you push them too far. You can talk all the, yo, but they shouldn't have done. Stop pushing people. Stop pushing their buttons. There are a lot of people around here who are walking around, like I said, being the docile versions of themselves to protect the public at large. At large. Pay
Yep.
attention to that.
Did you
Don't
see
take
that
that for
meme?
granted. Huh?
Did you see that Tyson meme?
No. There's a new
There's a
Tyson
message
meme.
they got, it's his face, that menacing boxing face. And it says, you motherfuckers have gotten way too, social media got you way too fucking comfortable with disrespecting people without being punched in the fucking face. And on that note, let this be your motivating Monday, people. That's my brother, again, Lord Amir. I'm your boy Talent. Hope you got a couple of jewels out of this, man. It's very important to strengthen yourself. And if nothing else, take away what he said. Make a list. Make a list of those things that get you aggy. And on, not only just being aware of them, ask yourself and try to do your self research. Why those things make you aggy? And I guarantee you, with just knowing that, what they say, knowing is half the fucking battle.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. Motivated Monday, Amir Talent. We out of here. Love y'all, man.
Love y'all.